Hello, my loves. I am absolutely thrilled to introduce to you Sonja Maria Devi. Maria, thank you. Sonja Maria Devi. I almost had it right. Sonja is a sister that I have been wanting to record a conversation with for a little while. She is the founder of the Wild Sacred Feminine Wisdom School. She's a priestess, a healer, an educator, an all-around awesome woman who is committed to providing pathways for healing and empowerment for all modern women. And, you know, there are many women out there that I look up to, but Shraddha's someone that is just like, I think walks her talk in such a pure embodied way without any hoo-ha bells and whistles. You just get on with it, and it's so refreshing. It's so real, authentic, and it's nourishing for me to have someone like you in my life. So this is part of why I really waited until the right moment, and it was like, what was it that I really wanted you to share with the women? And today we're going to talk about sovereignty. And yeah, this is oh, I just get buzzes. So Shraddha, thank you so much.
So
and
I just want to reflect back that I feel the same for you. I'm so grateful that you exist, that you offer what you offer in the way that you offer it. It is also so refreshing and nourishing. So thank you for you.
Yeah. The festival of love. Shraddha, I'd love to start our conversation with asking you to share a little about your moon time. I have this thread that I weave through all of the conversation that I record, and I'm really passionately committed and so deeply interested in women's rites of passage. And I'd love to know if you can remember the first time that you bled, and how was that for you?
Well, actually, it was really a non-event because it was not offered to me as a rite of passage and a pathway to my power. It was, I was an Australian teenager, and my mum did her best on the, on the logistics, but it wasn't offered to me as that pathway. And actually, it's from the immense lack that I had in my early life in terms of that like real education that has motivated me and inspired me to create those pathways for other women so that they don't just walk blindly into their womanhood and actually miss out on so much of what is possible and available when we're actually like really tapped into our power. And so my moon time was not that in my early life. And then I went on the pill and then went off the pill, and I didn't have my moon for 7 years. And so by the end of that 7 years, I wanted my moon time. I knew that I was lacking something. By that point, I was in my early 30s. So I knew that it was an important thing. I wasn't like, oh yeah, great, I don't have my moon. I was like, I want it. And so by the time I got it again, I wanted it. I asked for it. And so by the time it came back, I got grounded enough for it to come back. I was able to really use it as that pathway to power.
Wow, that's a really interesting story. So it's almost like you created your own rites of passage from that time.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And I mean, not celebrating and it being a non-event, you really did take the power back, when you started to rebleed. And did you find after that time, when you stopped taking the contraceptive pill, which we won't get probably into in this conversation.
Let's not go into that one.
Whole other chat. But were you able to connect with your moon? Did you have a relationship with it from that moment on?
Oh yeah, totally. Because I wanted it, I asked for it. And by then I had cultivated a very strong relationship to my body and my body wisdom.
Yeah.
And so then your body is just showing you, it's giving it to you, once you're aware. So by that time I'd cultivated enough self-awareness that I was listening, I was interested, I was asking for it. And then I found, and I find this, I'd say in general, it's like really natural for us to experience the power that comes from a connection to our body. As soon as we're interested, then life's like giving it to us. And so yeah, from then on, it was a very rich journey. And also particularly because by that time I'd started to do women's work and space for women to heal together. And so that really was very much, it became my world, Yeah.
I'd love to invite you to speak into this women's work. You say about like the women's work and healing together. This is such a potent, powerful piece of your work. And there's so many aspects that you do. And I really would love for you to speak to the potency of women doing their work together.
Whoa, yeah. I mean, I just, it found me, I just like to remember this particular memory of being in Glastonbury in England and being in the Goddess Hall, this place which is like created for women's healing events, and all these women in a circle, and they're all breathing out of their womb. They're all just erupting, erupting and clearing and shedding. And I'm in the middle with my drum, like, wow. Hallelujah. I found my purpose. This is why I'm here. Yes. And so I kind of found my way in quite naturally to being a priestess. And I was like, oh yeah, this is why I am who I am. This is why I'm such such a strong energy and such an intense person. I feel everything so much. It's because I can actually open up my field and hold that space for other women.
Yeah, beautiful. And you do it so well. Yeah, you really do. It fascinates me, like how someone finds the path of a priestess. Many of us hear this word, and I know myself before I started to live in Bali and do this work, and I would hear priestess, and I would just automatically think of female priest ordained in either the Catholic or the Christian religion. And we're both from similar backgrounds, like Australian backgrounds. I don't know about these priestesses that are, banging their drums to hundreds of women breathing out through their yonis. But I do now. I know what, but for someone that's just hearing what the path of the priestess involves or what it's about, would you speak a little to your experience? I know you left Australia at a young age. You landed in Glastonbury. You traveled the world sharing this work. So can you share a little about your.
Yeah, I'd love to break it down, and thank you for mentioning that. I don't want to make things feel like this glamorous thing that people can't relate to. So thanks for letting me break it down a little bit. The reason I use the word priestess is because it actually describes my experience the best. So I didn't decide, I'm going to be a priestess. I did a lot of the inner work. So I spent time in England and India, and went on a really, I won't go into this because there's other things to talk about, but I went on a very, very deep journey and a very deep healing journey. By the time it wasn't through that, I mean, I'm still in it, but I began to realize that I was able to hold the space that I held for myself for other women. So it's kind of like priestessing is kind of like opening up your field to hold a space where other women in this context who perhaps can't access those emotions or can't access those like ecstatic states, like altered states of consciousness that I can. And I can open up a kind of energetic field, and they're able to access that kind of depth. And what's, also your moon time is just another way that you can do that, rites of passage is basically that same thing. It's like opening up to something deeper, something wider. I discovered that I was able to open up, hold a space where women felt safe enough that they could have those kinds of deep experiences. And for me, it felt like right to say priestess, because I wasn't a teacher. Before that, I was a yoga teacher, and a therapist is like, it's not that, it's deeper than that, so much deeper than that. And so the only way I could describe it for myself was like, I'm a priestess. So I'm opening and I'm priestessing a space for women to have a deep experience.
Thank you. Thank you for making it the term so real. And if I wasn't thinking of like a priestess as part of the church, I'd envisioned the priestess as a golden winged creature, that's coming through the quantum field. And it was, again, not accessible, but the way you break that down, I totally appreciate that. Thank you.
I want to say one more thing about that, which makes it even more like, as I've come to work with different women, I've seen young women come to me and I'm like, oh, you're a priestess. She doesn't know it yet. And, a priestess is someone who's working with power and working with energy. And we are all, to some extent, priestesses. Then others, it's their destiny to share that, but even a mother who's really connected to her own power, she's a priestess. She's a priestessing over her family, So when we're coming back to sovereignty here, any woman who's connected to her internal power and also connected to the world around her, she's a priestess.
Is a sovereign priestess, yeah. And sovereignty is a word that we're hearing a lot of, especially with what's going on in the world at the moment. It's about remaining sovereign with your right of choice, and as women, women and men as well, not leaving the brothers out of this, we all have our own free choice, our rights of choice. And I'd love for you to share. I'm just delighted to hear you speak to this as well, for myself, but also sovereignty in relating, Shraddha. Sonja, what's your name?
I changed my name today, by the way. That's why she's calling me Shraddha. Also, she's on the first day of her moon, so
my brain's a little like, oh, I've got it. So yeah, sovereignty in relating. I mean,
oh yeah, I'd love to speak about that. I want to talk a little bit about the word sovereignty. I've just been looking at them. It's just starting to rain here, by the way. Hopefully you can still hear me. Okay, good. Sovereignty, like when I've looked it up on the computer, it's for the meaning. Like sovereign is, they usually talk about it in relation to a country or a state. And when you're in supreme authority over your own region, that's when you're sovereign. And so if you're in supreme authority over your own body and your own being, this is to be a sovereign woman. And when you think about the opposite of that, if you're not sovereign, it's when some other power is taking your energy away, or you're giving all your best resources over to another power, and you're getting leaked. You're getting taken out of your power, you're getting taken away from your truth. And because most young women are not educated on how to relate in a really healthy way, as in hopefully this is changing right now, but generally we weren't taught about boundaries. We were more educated to just maybe not overtly, but sort of undercover, kind of like, we got the message, we should look really good, we should be attractive, we should be sexy. And And so we were kind of trained to get our approval and our validation outside of ourselves. And so what this led to is, a lot of women, like all of us, pretty much, except for the few like super wise ones, even us, like in our 20s, it's like, oh my God, it's still like a nightmare. But yeah, we were messy. We were playing out patterns. Most women have been playing out patterns of giving their power away in relationships because they want to get approval, they want to get love. And why? Because they haven't been taught how to experience love and like this internal sense of self-worth. And so in order to have a sovereign relationship, so basically, actually, it's useful to talk about the opposite as a sovereign relationship, because that's what is the general thing. And it's relationships when we're getting taken out of our truth and out of our power by the relationship. And it's often not necessarily like a toxic partner. Sometimes it might be a toxic partner, but it could just be our patternings, the way that we're leaning out of our power to try and get the love, It's essentially when we're coming from lack. So disempowering non-sovereign relationships are relationships when we're coming from a sense of lack. And most of us are coming from that sense of lack. It actually, like, we're reconfiguring all of those settings right now. And it's a work in progress. And this, in a sovereign relationship, you connected to yourself, and you still share love, you still want love, like that's just so, but in healthy ways where you're actually like getting love in a way and sharing love in a way that's really supporting you, really helping you to thrive. So rather than a more toxic patternings where we're like out of this sense of like we're reaching out and then we're getting taken away, we're learning to be like, connected to the love, connected to the wisdom. And from that place, we are coming into relationship.
Beautiful. Thank you. It's really interesting. I've been reading quite a bit on sovereignty as well. So it's perfectly timed. And there was a piece that really dropped in for me around being woman, how we have been, it's kind of like it's been seeded in us, this deep belief that we're not complete. And this particular writer, this writer suggests that because our genitals are shaped like a cup. Well, we as wiser women know that they're a cup and we're receptive. Whereas like when we're very, very young, it's seeding in us that we're not complete because we don't have this outward expression of the genitals. So in fact, he's saying penis envy can create this feeling in women of being not fully complete. And we look for outside of ourselves to complete that. So I'd be interested to know if you have read anything.
I haven't planned to that one. I'd love to share.
Yes,
yeah. We weren't given our pathways to feminine power. That's where we're lacking.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some genital complex. I don't know. I don't really relate to that personally, but like we haven't been shown how to really be connected to what we have. It's not that what we have is like, less than inadequate. It's that we haven't been shown how to connect with that. In all Indigenous cultures, there is protocols for women of how, like wise women who teach you the ways to connect to your own power and your own body. So that's where our lack comes from. Like we're not educated. We're not shown. Like, yeah, we come in with this amazing body with so much potential. We all have that potential. And some of us might just spend lots of time in nature. So we just like got that download ourselves. But, most of us, we're really like lacking in that really basic guidance And we're also, given by our culture and patriarchal education, all these distractions, like all these ways that we can look outside of ourselves for what's important, instead of like, oh, what about this world here? What about all this? So I was never shown, go look, bring the attention inwards. That was never given to me, So most of us are like looking outside for what's important because we're just not shown the way in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So important. And that is really what I felt when I've been doing the work for this, like learning how my womb connects to the earth, learning how to breathe with the earth and have it breathe through me and create this earth sky alignment, that I've been able to really feel into what it is to be more sovereign. So yeah, could you maybe speak to some of the practices? Because I've seen you, and I've seen you do the shaking, I've seen you meditate, I've seen you work in the forest. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind to speak to some of those practices that you regularly do as well.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, you already kind of named it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so profound. The womb breathing,
Yeah.
the womb connected with the earth. That's huge. That's so huge. When we actually come to experience that kind of connection between our body as activated energy vibrating with life force in relationship to the earth. Whoa, that's like a different universe of experience. And from that experience, we don't need to take drugs. We don't need to be a beggar for love and validation outside of ourselves, because we find that connection that we're so hungry for. So even just any really simple, like there's so many practices, and that's what I teach. But just that simple feeling your womb space, cultivating a relationship with that, breathing there, feeling that connection between your womb and the earth. I mean, all the practices are pretty much to create that connection. And then with the Taoist sexual vitality practices, we're using that energy, circulating it through our body for healing, regeneration, and transformation, and alchemy. But it's simple. It's simple stuff. It's basically getting in touch with our body as an alive conduit for life force energy, and then being present with that. And then the energy has got a life of its own. Like our organism is extremely intelligent, and actually we get shown, once we tap in. And this is also why the moon time is such a powerful container, because it's also a time where it's easier to tap into those altered states of consciousness and to our body as energy. It's a bit more obvious at that time, as long as we're not distracting ourselves during that time or taking medication or whatever. Then we're naturally being taken into a deeper experience of being in our own body in an intelligent way.
Yeah.
So I find it's really our natural abilities as transformers and natural priestesses, and then the practices show us how to be in touch with that, and show us how to be in our body with presence. I mean, we're needing to do a lot of self-care these days, because we're needing to do a lot of repair work. Like we're coming in with a lot of stories of I don't like my body and da, 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 da. So actually part of what we're doing collectively now is healing our relationship to our bodies. So we need to cry a lot and actually feel the pain of our separation from our true power and wisdom. So a lot of women are like, part of like our practices also just to feel what has not been felt. And also, we're connected to our mothers and our grandmothers and what she hasn't felt. So the practices are holding a container for us to engage with with all this stuff that wants to happen through our body, basically. And one more aspect about the practices is that it's an opportunity to observe ourselves. I'm really into know yourself, like how to become sovereign, know yourself. It's like, you know, a country that doesn't know its own resources, and then so someone else comes along and sucks it all up. It's like, know yourself, know your patterns, know what takes you out of your power, knows what it, find out what helps you to come back in. Self-knowledge is you know, a huge key for sovereignty. And then working with the energy in our bodies, and then creating relationships that are healthy and supportive, so that our relationships are helping us to stay connected to our truth rather than as a distraction from them.
Yeah, amazing. Sonja. Sonja, that is so incredible. I love hearing you speak about this, because I can feel the connection to the transmission, and it again, like, it just feels so authentic and so real. And there are plenty of people that talk about embodiment and teach it, but there is something so unique about the way you share this wisdom that it's just, again, it feels like truth. And I think,
yeah. And also, I just want to say, it's we got to do it. Like, because you know, I mean, I'm excited about it because it's like, come on, come on, sisters, like now,
do it
now. Time.
Now is the time.
We don't have a choice now. We don't have a choice but to do this work.
Yeah. So, okay, for someone that's living in, you know, Sydney or Melbourne, and they might be in an apartment or have a 9-to-5 city type job, you know, what do you feel are some of the practices that, you know, we live in Bali, we do live in this bubble way, so we know that we're incredibly grateful to that we are here at this time, especially. So we do know that we are very, very blessed. And but we also know that for these changes to make it, you know, it is something that's so simple that a woman could do in the city every single day, is going to be the seed that, when she can connect that little bit deeper, that little bit deeper, that little bit deeper, and keep knowing herself more and more. So please, would you maybe suggest maybe just 1 or 2 practices that these girls could start with?
Sure, definitely. It's really important that we don't let ourselves become overstimulated. So it's just really important that for the first part of our mornings that we are not getting imprinted from external. So we can't go on the phone first thing in the morning. Things like that are actually very, very important. So making sure the first at least half an hour of your day, you're not getting any stimulation from outside of yourself. And ideally, you have time to notice how your body feels. And I mean, you can do any of the embodiment practices that you already do. I mean, you can run, you can, you know, like you can do the kind of normal yoga that people are taught, but you can just do it in a way that's slower, and you're feeling and you're pausing, you know, like really the feminine is like sacred feminine, it's a receptive energy. So even if you just had your cup of tea and you take pauses, you're like, how do I feel right now? What do I feel in my body right now? Like, what are 3 sensations that I can feel in my body? I mean, first, you're not going to be able to feel anything because your mind, you're up here in your mind. It's like, okay, yeah, I feel like a sort of tight energy, like a tight sensation in my lower belly. Okay, what do I need right now? Place your hands there. Just that being connected to your body, basically, you know. And so breathing, moving, and sounding is the tantric tools. And I've got a few series of feminine practices that women can do in the morning. But really, it's just about taking time and space to feel what we're feeling. It's like the sacred feminine is happening in your body. You just need to be present to it. You need to make space, and you know, just placing your hands on your womb and breathing. do that for 10 minutes. It's so profound. Do it in the morning and do it in the evening. And you can just start with that. And then life might, once there's some gaps and you're open to it, life starts, oh, you could do this practice and that practice and that practice, And like we become alchemists when we're just like creating the medicine that we need. Like I know you must be the same. My practice is completely different every single day because I'm tuning in. Like, what is it that I need today? Oh, I'm feeling like this, so I need this. So we're coming back to just being present with ourselves and then creating the kind of medicine that we need. And then there's lots of awesome feminine embodiment practices, and you can look on my website if you're interested in that. But rather than us getting busy with stuff, we're really just coming back to presence. How do I feel in my body? How is my womb? Can I feel my womb right now? What happens if I just place my hands there and breathe?
Beautiful. Simple presence, simplicity and presence, and create spaciousness.
Yeah, which creates this window for us to be present to what's going on, because we're so powerful. We're such powerful beings. And we could just be missing out on all of that because we're just in our heads. So that's the kind of revolution. Like we're just coming down. Like, how do I feel right now? How does my body feel? What do I need?
Sonja, you mentioned on your website that you have a series of feminine practices. Can I share a link for that if anybody felt to learn more about your practices?
Yeah. I'm all about giving practices and also programs. So like I have some month-long programs. Like one is like you become sovereign, and then lots of different practices to become sovereign in your connection to your body. So there's a few different things there that they can check out. But I'm really into things being doable, so like a morning practice, maybe a short evening practice, like you can fit it into your life. We don't want to become even more busy. Yeah. But it's really like, I know I suffered without guidance and without, having that container created for me to really explore myself and deepen my relationship to my body. So that's basically what I provide.
Thank you. That feels so good. Thank you so much.
I get all excited when I'm talking about this because it's just like, God, it's like, oh, come on. Yeah. We've got so much power. It's just unbelievable. Like this is the moment, this is the moment that we all need to come into that alignment because, we have to.
Yeah, the more sovereign women on the planet right now.
Frequency together.
Yeah, the better. Well, thank you so much. And I will share your website details and anything else I can think of that's going to be epic and awesome so people can connect with you and have a little bit of, Sonja magic in their lives too. Thank you, my love.
Yeah, it's been really
I'm going to stop the recording.